All right, YouTube, Trade Thetford coming to you. I'm with Gander RV in Tyler, Texas. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Just wanted to go over a couple of things here that have kind of occurred to me since I've been in the RV universe here. 10 things that you need to think about and have an idea about before you go to a dealership. So, number one, I've got here, know a realistic budget. Keep in mind, you're going to have a down payment if you're not going to stroke a check for it. You're going to have a monthly payment. Those are right? You're also going to have insurance costs, maintenance costs, storage costs, and then you've got to have enough money to go enjoy it, because there's no reason to have it and not use it. And so be real clear. Talk through with your partner about it. If you have a family, talk with a family. Hey, how often are we going to use it, right? The number two thing, which is really interesting that people, when they come into the dealership, they seem to be struggling with, is they're not sure if they want a towable or a motorhome, or a travel trailer or a fifth wheel, or a pop-up. It almost blows my mind. There's a big difference in all these things. So let's talk about it. Travel trailers hook up at the bumper. People call them bumper pulls, right? Fifth wheels connect inside the bed of the truck, directly over the axle, okay, like a semi-truck. They give you some more space. They give you more storage. They're a little more luxurious. It's really a step up. Fold downs, or pop-ups as we call them, are kind of like a baby travel trailer that either has soft or hard sides that are kind of tent-like, and they crank up or crank down. Some of them have buttons that move up and down. And then, of course, you've got motorhomes, which you get in and drive. Now, there's several types of motorhomes. We're going to get into that at another time, but essentially for this, what you need to know, do you want it to hook up to the bumper? Do you want it to hook up in the bed of the truck and be a much larger camper? Or do you want to drive it? Think about that. If you're really unsure, come on into the dealership. We'll let you look at them. People generally know. They get in it and they go, oh no, I don't like this, or man, this is it. So think about that. Number three, know your tow capacity, right? I spoke to a guy last March that was in a V6 Mustang and wanted to buy a travel trailer that he was going to pull with his Mustang. Folks, you can't do that. That's not safe. It doesn't make sense, and I can't help you with that. But if you have a half-ton F-150, right, you're not going to be able to pull a 20,000-pound fifth-wheel toy hauler. You just can't. Now, some F-150s have a 14,000-pound tow capacity and some don't, right? So you need to think about that. You can find that information out by doing a VIN decoder or going to rv.ganderoutdoors.com. So ganderoutdoors.com has this neat tow guide, as you can see here. You can either enter your VIN and search that way, or you can select year, make, model, and trim. This will allow you to kind of find out what you do like that's in your tow capacity. So as you can see here, we're on a 4x2, 16,660 pounds. So you can pull quite a bit, and it's just going to show you anything that's in that weight. Also, while we're talking about tow capacity, you need to know if you've got a brake controller. It's great if you do. If you don't have one, that can always be added. And if you're going to need a hitch. So if you're going to get a fifth wheel, if you don't have a fifth wheel hitch, you're going to need a hitch. If you have a goose ball in the bed of your truck, then there's some options on how we kind of cross that bridge. Maybe you have other trailers you pull with the goose, so we can have an adapter. We can change the pin box on the fifth wheel. You have tons of options there. Or if it's a travel trailer, if it's very long or very heavy, or if it's just a single axle and it's very small, and you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, or you have a half-ton truck and we're really pushing your tow capacity, you're going to be way happier and much safer having a weight distribution and anti-sway hitch. We're experts on this stuff, right? So if you don't have the answers to those kinds of questions, that's okay. Just think about it. Just know. So don't come in and pick the biggest camper that you could possibly pull with your truck and think that it's going to be safe and easy to pull without having a hitch, right? Number four, where are you going? Where are you going to go with this thing? Are you going to go to RV resorts, state parks, national parks? Are you going to camp at KOAs? What's the weather? What's the climate going to be like? When you're doing camping, is it going to be cold? Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be really cold or really hot? This is really going to help guide your search. Do you need a camper that has tank heaters to keep the water from freezing, a sealed underbelly? Do you need extra insulation? Do you need another air conditioner or an upgraded air conditioner in order to stay comfortable and safe? Number 5, how long do you plan on keeping it? I'm asking you this because you need to know that the average term on the loan for an RV is 10 years. Average ownership is about 3. So there's a lot of people out there that either thought that they were going to use it and didn't, or bought the wrong one, or want to upgrade already because they just love it. And that creates kind of some problems because these things depreciate. And, we'll get to that a little bit later. Number 6, I've got ask for help, right? You don't have to take this on all by yourself. You don't have to know the answers. If you've never had an RV before, how can you? How can you know that stuff, right? I do this every day. Talk to your sales professional. Talk to the service guys, the service directors. Talk to the finance people. If you have questions, I promise you, you have a dealership close to you that will answer questions. And certainly leave a comment right here, and I will get to you as quick as possible, okay? Number 7, be realistic. Be realistic. Be realistic in general. I deal with a lot of people that wanted what they want yesterday and they're in a hurry. Or they think that their truck can pull crazy weights, and I have to show them that it can't pull crazy weights. Just because you put airbags on your half ton does not mean you're going to pull a 15,000 pound camper, okay? It just doesn't make sense. So be realistic can mean different things for different people. For some people, it's, yes, that $70,000, toy hauler is nice, but do you have $1,000 a month for a camper that you're going to use once or twice a year, right? So try to be realistic, try to be open-minded. Number 8, this is huge. This probably should be number 1. It is get what you want, right? Don't go look at things that you don't want to buy. It just doesn't make sense. I'll tell you a quick story. I play guitar, okay? I've got cool guitars, but when I was in college, I didn't have a lot of money, and I wanted to learn how to play guitar. So what did I do? I went to Walmart, and I bought like a $35 or $50 guitar that was made out of plastic. So I had this guitar made out of plastic, and I could not figure out how to play guitar. I had finger charts, I had videos, I watched YouTube, I tried to figure it out, and I could not play guitar. So I went to a friend's house one day, and he had like a Yamaha guitar, probably a $400 or $500 guitar. And I sat down and really quickly started picking guitar up that day. And I thought, man, that's weird. I don't know why I can't play this cheap guitar. I can play this nicer one. So I went to a music store and ended up buying like a $300 guitar. And I learned guitar in a couple of weeks. And then once I had invested that level of money in, I realized that I really wanted a nicer guitar. So I bought a nicer guitar. So now at this point, I spent $50 on a cheap guitar, $300 on an okay guitar, and now I'm looking at a guitar that's $850. So I've spent over $1,000. I could have just spent $800 once, right? And it would have saved me months and months of frustration with a $50 guitar. Don't do that to yourself here, okay? This is a purchase that's going to pay dividends. And what I mean by that is clearly it's not an investment, not a financial investment that's going to pay financial dividends. It's a financial investment that's going to pay memories, experiences, fulfill dreams, create time with your children and your family and your friends that you never would have had otherwise, right? You're going to experience things that you don't see at home, you don't see at a hotel room, okay? This is why we do this. We do this for our families. So there's no reason to compromise. With financing that we've got today, you're looking at somewhere around $10 per thousand financed. So why would you compromise on this? Now remember, back up here, we talked about knowing your budget. And I think that's important. But What's another $50 a month if you're really going to love it? I'll tell you one story about this. When I first wanted to start riding motorcycles, I talked to people and said, hey, what do you recommend? I looked on forums, I watched videos like this one, and people said overwhelmingly, get a starter motorcycle. Get a 250cc Japanese bike. And I got an 1100cc Japanese bike. Now, I'm a big guy. I'm about 260 right now, okay? That 1100cc bike, I rode all over with it. I rebuilt the motor. I did a lot of work on it. But I hated it. I hated it. When my friends would get on their big dressers, they'd take off, and I couldn't keep up with them. And we'd get on the interstate, and I'd have to take an exit and go get gas. And it was really frustrating. And I had this note on this bike that, man, it wasn't what I wanted, you know? So later, I talked to a guy, and I said, man, what kind of motorcycle do you recommend? He said, I'd get a bagger. Doesn't matter what brand. Get a big motorcycle with hard storage, because you can go to the store in it, you can go to the bar in it, and you can go across the country on it. And you know what? He was right. I've had several motorcycles since. The current bike I'm on now is probably at $50,000 in it, okay? Which is ridiculous. I mean, think about it. It only has two wheels. It doesn't have an air conditioner. It doesn't have airbags. It doesn't have, really anything creature comfort-wise. It was a $20,000 bike that I've spent a bunch of money making mine. And you know what? It doesn't matter that it's probably only worth $10,000 now on the market. It just doesn't. Because I've got stories. I've been on the top of Pikes Peak. I've been at Daytona Beach. I've had my daughter on it. I've ridden with my dogs. I've seen the sunrise. I've seen the curvature of the earth when I was on a motorcycle ride on it. And the sun was coming up, and I could see the moon over here, and I could tell you all these stories, and it has made me wealthy. It has made me wealthy, and it's kept me sane, okay? So I love recreation. I'm not new to that, okay? I think that you may be able to say the same thing, like, hey, you know, you've had a boat, you've had a jet ski, you've gone skiing, you've had a timeshare somewhere, right? This is not different than that. This is a way to be able to take that timeshare with you, right? Number 9, if you don't have a tow vehicle, or you know that you're going to buy another one, buy the camper first. Do not buy the vehicle and then come get the camper. Don't do that. This is a cart before the horse situation, okay? I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why. Number 1, I've seen way too many people buy a truck, beautiful truck, get to my store, fall in love with a camper that they cannot pull with that truck. Then it's really difficult, right? I want you to get what you want, but I also want you to be safe. And, it just doesn't make sense for me to go, you're only 6,000 pounds over the tow capacity of that vehicle, but you'll be all right. Doesn't work that way, guys. You can't do it. The second reason, and this might be the more compelling reason, is that it's way easier to get good financing to get a decent rate on a truck than it is to get good financing on a camper. And I've seen people come in that have just bought a truck, and they may have had a pre-approval from their financing, or they thought that they could maybe afford a camper with their bank. And they come in and they go, hey, do y'all have financing? I said, yeah. They said, well, our bank said no because we just bought this truck. And then we can get a yes, but the rate is several points higher because their debt to income has just risen, right? So don't do that. Come shop for the camper, get realistic, get a price idea, get numbers, get a deposit, get financing secured, whatever you need to do. Get that done first on the camper. Then go back and say, hey, I've got a 18,000 pound gross vehicle weight fifth wheel, and I'm going to want this truck. And then you're able to buy a truck that's going to have a brake controller, maybe have the dealership deal with the hitch for you if you want. You can get this stuff rolled into the note. So there you go. And, please consult your salesperson. We're here for you. If you have a question about what kind of truck you might need for a certain camper, that's easy. We get that all day. Okay? Finally, number 10, get out there and do it. I give you the permission. Your wife will forgive you. Your husband will forgive you. Your family will enjoy this. I know you've been thinking about it. You've been worried about it. If you're the kind of person like I am, you've made lists and pro and con charts, and you've talked to your buddies about it, and you've thought about it, and you've talked to people that have had them, and talked to people that have had good experiences and bad experiences. Just do it. You are wasting time, and you don't get more of that in life. It's the only thing that the wealthiest person can't get more of than the poorest. Okay? And if you're watching this video, chances are you got some first world problems. You are making money enough that you're looking at a luxury RV. Okay? So let's just take a second and say thank you for that. This is a wonderful problem to have. Get out there, look at some campers, make some calls, and go talk to a professional. Think through these things that I've talked about, the top 10 things that you need to think about before you step foot in a dealership, and you will be well prepared to make a great decision. Remember, it's the journey, not the destination. Tomorrow is only found in the calendar of fools. Stay tuned.